so we can talk about some of the stuff that happened.
Do you know that your screen isn't up?
You're right,
Or
'cause I did not start my virtual camera.
there you go.
Bam. So yeah, I took some time and was looking some stuff up this week and decided to run a pre-written adventure for the next however many sessions that it takes because I think it's a really interesting and fun adventure. And it's written by literally my favorite DM ever, Chris Perkins, who writes a lot of the 5th edition material. But this was way back in 1995 that he wrote this for Dungeon Magazine when he was still like an aspiring writer to write for Dungeons and Dragons, and now he's like one of the main guys for Wizards of the Coast in the D&D realm. So
that was like what, like AD&D or what?
Yeah, this would be like around AD&D 2nd edition.
Cool.
So this was the stuff that we were all buying when we were in high school. Like it was, this was what was on the shelf at like Friar Tuck Books and like when Walden Books was still in the mall.
All the
that reminds me,
TSR
Zach.
catalogs and stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey Zach, I actually have been carrying around a D&D book with me for years that I got probably when I was in my late teens, early 20s. That turns out to be a DM book for 2E. If you are interested, I'd be more than happy to gift it to you for all of this.
Yeah, that's cool. Absolutely. I'm an avid collector. Since I got this new job, I've been spending way too much money on eBay. I'm like, I'm still comfortable.
Oh, has anyone been to the new comic store yet?
No, I keep meaning to.
Yeah, I haven't been yet.
I keep meaning to.
In Toga or out in Glens Falls?
In Saratoga.
Yeah, there's one like on Weibel Ave somewhere. I haven't been able to actually locate it, but it's called what the hell is it now? Incredible Comics?
Something like
Invisible Comics?
I forget. Yeah.
What is it? Cosmic Comics. Oh, Cosmic, that's right. Cosmic Capes Comics, I think is what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like along the row, kind of opposite the recycling plant and shit there.
Oh, all right. I'll have to check that out. There's a new one a newish one in Glens Falls area too that actually has like a game room set up for people to play table games and stuff.
That's
nice.
Cool.
I forgot the name of it though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I see a lot of posts about stuff up in South Glens Falls. There's like a gaming group that meets in the Pizza Hut up there as well, which is fun. Or Domino's maybe, but yeah. So, being as I am not super familiar with the Planescape setting, but I have read some of the novels and stuff, I decided that tonight would be a good time to line up about 11 tabs on my computer that have all the different reference materials. So if it takes me a minute to find stuff, I'll apologize ahead of time. But
no apology necessary.
So we will say when you guys are starting your descent towards the city, I believe I mentioned this last time, but we'll go over it again just for posterity's sake. You see what appears to be a tangle of sort of vine-like material. And as you're getting closer with this featherfall active, you can tell that this stuff is pretty thick. It's about like a patch of blackberry brambles. And it does seem to be coated in very small, sharp, razor-like thorns. Like essentially picture razor wire, but it's some sort of a green growth material. And this
Can I Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I was just gonna say this razor vine is an appropriate term for it. Seems to kind of wrap itself around the entire interior circle of this giant donut-like structure that the city exists in. You can still see into the city, and from where you're falling, at first it just looks kind of like a chain link fence almost. But as you get closer, you realize that those are the larger strands of this stuff, and there are some smaller strands sort of interwoven, so it's sort of tangly and ugly, but it essentially forms something that looks kind of like a great bird cage.
And you're saying the inner city, which is like at the center of the donut, or where is that?
Yeah, the inner city is actually along the concave inside of the donut.
Is that brambles alive organic greenery that I can control?
You could certainly try.
Well, if we're heading straight towards it, I would like to try to open up a hole in it for the size of our party enough to slip through, so we don't get sliced and diced.
Okay.
Make a hole.
Let's see. That is using one of the parts of Reggie that he's absorbed, right? If I remember correctly, one of them was the rod of Maliki, I think it was, that gave you the plant powers, right?
Yeah, the one the tree handed out, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Maliki's will.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say go ahead and roll an Arcana check just to see if you're able to do this while maintaining your concentration and stuff on your feather fall.
Okay.
It's funny. This is specifically one of the things listed that Balin was supposed to be
19.
able to walk through, like unimpeded.
Nice.
Where's that guy right now?
I was like, if ever you're falling above the city of Sigil and there happens to be a razor wire vine, you're good.
But yeah,
I got a 19 on my Arcana check.
Yeah, you're able to fairly easily kind of manipulate the growth of these things where you see a hole and you just kind of make them turn, like you grow one side of a few branches and it turns the branch.
Sick.
Let's say everybody make me a dexterity saving throw with advantage due to the hole that Arianth has made for you guys.
Word. 1 second.
Oh my god, that's the best dexterity saving throw I've ever gotten.
That's funny. That wasn't mine.
I got
I got an
15.
18.
Wait. Where's my? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I just rolled 1. There it is. Oh, I have 13.
Okay, so Venadia, you take 2d6 slashing damage from these vines. It is here. Let's see, 10 total slashing damage from these vines as you go through.
You want somebody to roll for Tohan?
I slashed a few of them back.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of them even rip, like when they catch you, they just rip right off the vines and stuff as you guys are passing through.
Yeah, just before we get to them, I like draw some swords and kind of slash as they're slashing me.
Yes, you have this brief fight midair as you're floating
Yeah.
down with these plants. Probably looks ridiculous, but you feel like it's a badass battle at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I believe you guys' intention, based on what the map that the Eye of Argos, I think, showed you was to go to the Great Bazaar, correct? Like to the market?
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think so.
Correctly.
Did you want somebody to roll for Tohan?
No, that's okay. We'll just say that he's alright for now. He lucks out this time. So yeah. Can you guys see the red dot on the screen fairly well there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Good, because that's as much as I can zoom in. So yeah, you guys begin to float down into this marketplace, and looking about, you can kind of see there seem to be. You're still at this point, let's say, several hundred feet up in the air, quote unquote, but really, compared to what you were moving, you seem to now be being drawn in laterally towards the center of this donut, like toward, if this is one edge of the donut, this is the other edge. You're sort of being drawn dead into the center. Just
as an afterthought, Zach, can I just close up that hole?
Yeah, absolutely. Just turn as you're falling and just kind of make them grow wildly, and they will.
Yeah, I just don't want to leave their defenses all open.
Roll me a perception check. Let's see if you notice something else as you turn around to do that.
Damn, 23.
Okay, yeah. When you turn around to do this, you get a quick glance around, and you actually see what appears to be all over the interior of this sort of net of razor vine. You see these strange, bald, kind of tall humanoid creatures that are floating along the edge of it, and some of them are trimming it. Others are doing something very similar to what you just were doing and growing it. It seems to be a mass sort of occupation of almost like renovation or construction work going on this thing constantly, where they're doing like landscaping to it, like trimming it and keeping it even. It's almost as though whoever these humanoids are, they clearly have an interest in keeping this thing well manicured.
Mm-hmm.
I relay what I just saw to everyone and ask Reggie if he knows anything about it.
He says, yes. My sources say that those are the Dabus. Uh, Here in Sigil, the city and the Dabus are, well, they're thought to be sort of not only inseparable, but really one and the same. They they perform feats such as rebuilding the broken utilities in the city, digging for pipes, fixing broken streets, things like that. They don't they don't communicate as you and I would through words, but more through strange illusory shapes that convey emotions and spectrums of feelings.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you guys are now floating your last maybe 50 feet or so, and looking down, you're just now seeing the tops of these tents through kind of a smoggy, smoky sort of dinginess that hangs in the air of this city.
Mm.
It's not particularly pleasant. Like there's a lot of bright colors, but those bright colors are washed out with sort of a dingy soot, and almost like a smog hangs in the air that makes it hard to discern various shapes past about 30 or 40 feet away. So as you're falling and you're about 50 feet above the ground, you can start to see now the tops of some of the larger tents. And as you float down, you begin to see the tops of the citizenry. Uh, and let me tell you some of the things that you see. Um, you can see in one corner of the bazaar there is a wall that clearly belonged to a building at one point, but no longer does. And on near that wall is a very what appears to be drunk halfling, and he has some sort of chalk or paint, and he is painting strange symbols all over this wall. Um, you can see what appears to be a company of mercenaries that has set up a booth seeking employment. There is a one of the guards, or a person who clearly looks like they would be some sort of a town guard, as you see several of these people in similar outfits. You see one of them in particular arguing with a shopkeeper and a pair of other citizens about what appears to be stolen property. And you're starting to be able to hear some of these things too, like the noises of the city are coming in, and it's actually kind of a cacophony of just people yelling numbers to each other, people doing deals from two or three tents apart. Essentially, like think of it like Wall Street. Like there's that
Mm.
much stuff going on all the time through here.
Or like the fish markets in
Yeah,
Japan, like where the
exactly.
sushi comes in and stuff.
Where it's just a gaggle of activity going on.
Yeah.
And looking,
24/7.
yeah, and absolutely. Reggie would even be able to tell you that yes, the Great Bazaar, uh, according to his sources that he found, he says I've been able to locate several books on Wikipedia, uh, including a compendium of monstrous creatures native to these realms, and also a book called the Fractals Manifesto that seems to speak of the politics of this area. There's also a who's who of this city called Faces of Sigil that I will be examining in short order. But yes, as to these sorry, as to these markets here, they do in fact stay open for 24 hours a day. There is never a time when something isn't being sold here in Sigil.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And continuing to look around, you guys are now like maybe 10 feet above the street. And a few people have sort of glanced up at you, but nobody seems to be paying much mind to the four of you floating down from, or in, from the outside of the cage. You see a stray dog staggering through the street, as though it is drunk. And you see a little old woman chasing after it, yelling about it being a bubber. Saying, "Ah, you're a bubber! You're worthless!" You can see that there seem to be quite a few street entertainers. One is a female dwarf wizard with her beard neatly braided and thrown over her shoulders. And she's entertaining a crowd with illusory dragons fighting illusory knights. Like just this epic play, essentially, of like holograms. And suddenly you see a large commotion of maybe 20 feet away as an angry brown grizzly bear comes smashing out of a set of saloon doors and clamps down on its target, who is also pushed out of the doors, and just begins shaking it violently. You see a few people run over to try to help, but the bear roars and they quickly back away. All of this stuff is happening kind of simultaneously, too, and it gives you the feeling that maybe Sigil is a city of absolute getting your wild on. Like, this is like if Vegas was the size of Hong Kong.
How far away from me are we from the bear who's about to attack?
Maybe 20, 25 feet. And yeah, this bear just seems like it's intent on whatever creature that it pushed out and is now chewing on its face. You hear the crunching noise. But apart from the first few people that tried to help, nobody's really that concerned with it. Like, it seems like everybody here has their own business to go about.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't seem like our problem.
Is it humanoid?
The creature that she's chewing on? Vaguely. Yeah, it looks humanoid, but it seems to have 4 arms.
Well, let's see. What do
I guess I guess Maggie wants to check it out. Runs over there.
By the time you get over there, the bear has killed this thing, and it begins to stand up on its hind legs. It looks at you calmly, and then it begins to morph, and it slowly turns into a female elf that stands before you. She puts up her hand, and a hawk lands on it, and she looks at you and nods and says, "Good morrow, mother." And kind of like curtly, but like being polite to you.
I walk over and raise an eyebrow.
What is the... I thought I saw a bear killing a humanoid.
Well, yes, Kata's got to earn a living, she says. Kind of shrugs, turns around on one heel, and starts walking away.
What did she say? Cutter?
Yes, she said, a cutter's got to earn a living.
What's a cutter?
So, as you ask that question aloud, a dark figure emerges from a corner of this market. And... sorry, let me switch back to OBS. And you see... this guy. Hopefully you guys should be seeing a guy with a red sash and black leather armor.
Yep.
So he steps forward smoking a pipe and he says, "Well, hello. You see..."
And who might you be?
Alright, now I gotta scroll back to my other page here. He says, the name's Jeshale. Friends call me Jesh for short. But, you got to know when to keep your nose in your own business if you're a clueless like you. No offense taken, I hope. You primes, you don't make it hard to spot you when you first show up here in Sigil. Me, I'm a cager. I was born here. But we see lots like you every day. People popping in from all parts of the realms, all over the universe, all over the multiverse. You see, Sigil here is at the center of everything.
Interesting. And how does one generally find themselves here?
Oh, lots of ways. Depends on which god you worship in life, how you believe that death works. You could just step through a door one day and wind up here. Lord knows we got enough of those things around here. Oh, I bet you that's Nick Booth.
He says, is this some sort of afterlife?
After, before, during.
What's up, Nick?
Nick.
You guys, sorry I'm late.
No, all good.
No worries.
All that's been accomplished is you guys landed safely on the ground, and Venadia took a little bit of damage from some razor wire or razor vine.
And it's like a crowded, smoggy marketplace with a lot of constant bustling action, market action going on.
So
we met a druid that was like wild shaped into a bear, and then we were like, "Hey, what the hell?" And then this guy popped up.
Yeah, after she killed somebody and then said the cutter's got to make a living or some shit.
Yeah. Now you're all cut it.
Yep, that's it. So Jesh kind of leans forward here, and he says, you got to be careful. There are dozens of dark places in Sigil where a careless Burke can wind up as a page in the dead book, and you're lost in one of them. This ward may look nice and cheery, but there's lots from the hive, lots from the lower ward here. Seems like perhaps you're looking for a tout, a guide, as you primies say.
Perhaps. But know that we most certainly can handle ourselves and are not to be trifled with.
Oh, of course, yes. I see lots of that, too. Not saying that the primes can't take care of their own, but sometimes a bit of, Commonwealth knowledge, a bit of, local color, if you will really do you some good in the city here.
And what would you want for your services?
Oh, I'm fairly cheap. I don't do work for any of the factols like some of these folks around here. I just like to show the new folks around, make sure that we've got a good supply of folks like you coming into the city. So, let's say to 10 silver jinks a day.
Can I do a perception check on this guy to see if I sense anything about him, whether we can trust him or not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Vibe check.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mentioned him. That seems very cheap. Seems there must be a little more in it for him than just that pay.
I got a dirty 20.
Okay, so you kind of get the feeling that this guy probably has some ulterior motive, although you'll be damned if you could figure out what that would be, because so far he's been fairly polite, but he does seem a bit cagey, to coin both a euphemism from our world and from this one, apparently. So as he kind of notices you looking him over, and he takes his hat off and kind of bows. And when he does, you see that he's actually got two kind of like spikling horns coming off the top of his head that were hidden by his hat. And so
I thought I could smell it.
Yeah, you think that he is a tiefling. And looking around, you would actually see quite a few tieflings in the area. Like
Yeah,
they're-
Venadia is not surprised. She could just kind of smell it in the air when we landed.
Well, I mentally tune to Reggie and have him turn on our inner communications, and I mentally nudge Valladia to step up and help out with dealing with this dude, since she would know.
Yeah, well, I mean, she wouldn't really know. I mean, she's
Well-
definitely like, I'm definitely giving him the eyeball and kind of taking a second look at everything he's saying. But so far, I'm not getting any kind of insight. You know.
Well, I asked the group mentally what they think, if we should hire this person or not.
I think we need to do a little more talking here.
Does he answer Venadia's question?
Yeah.
Which was
Yeah, that was definitely a pointed question. I don't
why
know,
is it so cheap?
Yeah, I'm just saying it. Yeah, it seems a bit of a, you know, like a beggar's salary to be offering such a, you know. You say you have visitors here every day like us. Do you offer these services for such a small fee every day like that? How do you keep your roof over your head and your meals in your belly?
He says, well, for a creature like me, and maybe you'll find out too, Bert, yeah, that sometimes information is a bit more valuable than just a little bit of silver coin in your pocket. Also, there's the conversion rate. So, which one are you from? Athos? Toril? One of the jammers out there somewhere?
We're from Terrell.
Yes, so the conversion rate, going to planar coins, jinx as we like to call them, is about 10 to 1 to your, whatever you guys use, these tiny little things. And he holds out a handful of what look like essentially silver ball bearings. He says, see, this is a jink. And it's about the size of a nickel around, but yeah, it's like a solid silver ball. And you think that it's probably pretty close to 10 silver coins worth of silver. So it just sort of, it's like I said, it's a 10 to 1. So like a silver becomes worth a gold, essentially. So for him, he's basically asking for one gold piece worth of your silver.
I guess, well, I could convey this to you guys through our mind link, that it seems to me like he seems a bit more put together than someone who lives on a 1 gold piece per diem. And so if he's like, this is what he's just doing all the time, I'd like to know where else is, it's how else he's being enriched,
Maggie says, what sort of information do you look for, dear?
Oh, everything's useful here. Right bit of the can, you can pretty much get away with whatever you need to get by for the day, Just because I got no silvers in my pocket doesn't mean I don't eat well. I know all the best places. You'll have to check your meals in a few bits here. It's almost my lunchtime. But
You mean to make money selling information about us?
well, that depends, love. Is there any information worth me selling? He just breaks into a big smile. You can tell he's kind of making a joke about it, but at the same time, like he gives you the idea that if you were to give up information about yourself, he is in fact the type of guy that would turn around and sell that information. This seems to be.
He makes that joke, and I just give him like the most deadpan, glazed over stare.
I just stare at him with a very bored look on my face.
Maggie says, we have no information worth hiding, but we'll not make ourselves targets.
Well, of course not. No reason to be walking in the lady's shadow, he says. At this point, Reggie says, he's speaking an odd form of dialect, odd dialect of common tongue called planar cant. He continues to say very odd things, but I'm trying to get some translations going here. And he does, in fact, get some translations going. So in the chat, there's a link to what is essentially a kind of lexicon of typical phrases that you might hear. For example, you might hear someone referring to someone with psionic powers as a spoonbender, or if someone was very cheap, they would be splitting the bean. It's a very like Cockney-esque version of common tongue. So you may hear me say some stuff like that throughout this, and if you have any questions, you can always we can always stop and look at this a little bit, because some of the shit I might not even know, because
Fair
yeah,
enough.
this is all built into the actual like campaign setting. So yeah,
Damn, someone spent like 4 weeks typing all this shit up.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
seriously,
It's
I'm looking at
absolutely
this like,
nuts. Yeah, and I don't expect you guys to like memorize it or learn it like, even very well at all, because I don't know how long you're gonna stay in the outer planes where they talk this stuff. But yeah, a
if
few
you
of
get
the
down to G, there's a whole bunch of curses.
yeah, and a few of the ones that are on there that are going to probably come up again and again is Burke, which I believe is calling someone like a fool, but it's not always like a bad thing. It's almost like when you're talking to your friends and you're like, "No, fool," like you can use it both ways. But you could also just be like, "That guy's a fucking Burke." Like, there's lots of words like that. A bubber, what you heard the little old lady calling that drunken dog earlier, literally means a drunken, good-for-nothing person.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of this. So again, if any words sound unfamiliar, please let me know, and I will try and help find them. So
Now he asks, without kind of checking in on any of this, what he means by under the lady's shadow, and I guess she thinks he's talking about the Lady of Pain.
Aye, and she floats through. You don't want to be caught in that. I've seen folks flaying alive, skin ripped from their bones. And you get the feeling that he's speaking both literally and figuratively, like standing in the shadow of the lady is basically referring to like, you don't want to cut your own throat is pretty much the way that he used it. So he was using it figuratively, but you also get the feeling that standing in the lady's shadow might be a literal, actual, real bad thing to do.
What draws her out? Where is she in the city of Sigil?
In, around, is. No one really knows where she came from. Rumor says that she deposed the old Lord of Portals and took his place, but only the Dabbas would probably know, and even among them, probably very few. Only the very oldest of them would know the truth of the Lady of Pain. But be that as it may, we see her, she's real. Don't mistake her, though. She's not some god's avatar. Nothing so mundane as that. As a matter of fact, those that worship her, they're punished worst of all. Either given to the worm, or sent to the mazes.
Tell us about this worm.
It's a dreadful ritual. I've only seen it once myself, and never go again. You see, here in Sigil, executions are often public affairs. It's the way to get the spirits of the people moving a bit, I guess. It's true, nothing gets your ire up like watching someone's head come rolling towards you, but that's civil, at least. That's something a bit more acceptable. The worm is... I've never seen a man in such pain. Ugh, he just kind of shudders. I don't like to talk about it too much, though. It's really not a great situation that I went through there.
There's a cult around the Lady of Pain.
Oh no, no cult. Anything like that she wouldn't have. She only has her Dabbas. Although they do speak of the handmaidens of the lady, secreted away in the spire somewhere. They wear her visage, a mask that looks like her face, but I don't know that anyone's ever actually seen one of them. They're mostly just like a wives' tale.
How would we find these ancient Davis?
Oh, you can find the Davis anywhere. They're all over the streets. As far as the ancient ones, they all live in holes in the ground, as far as I know. You're gonna have to go searching through one of those, and I hear they're not very pleasant places. But please, let's speak of more pleasant things. I'm sure your trip here has gotten you hungry. I know a wonderful little tavern that serves sandwiches and ale. It's called the Black Sails. One of the men that I work for sometimes actually frequents it.
Maggie's down.
Who is the man you work for?
He says his name's Inimigal. Inimigal. He's sort of a high up man. You know, he likes to send me out here and see about keeping track of cutters like you. Adventurers, as you like to call yourselves. Sometimes they need, new arrivals need little hands to find their footing in the city here. So I offer to bring them there. He offers them work. I get a little bit of a cut. Part of the way that I make my living. Like I said, it's not a one-game town.
Maggie's like, the lunch sounds good. I'm in.
He says, "You're a wise one, old mother. You can tell the cage ain't a place for clueless. This place can make a basher go barmy before you say pike it, prime scum. But a man like, how do I say his name again? A man like Inimigal, he's the closest thing you probably got to a friend in this city at this moment. Other than myself, of course." And again, he gives you that kind of like devilish smile, like he's in on some inside joke in his own mind.
I raise an eyebrow.
At this point, in the alley that he kind of walked out of, three large orangutan-looking creatures start to charge out, and are making essentially a beeline towards you. And you notice all three of them appear to be wearing the same armor that you saw the guard wearing earlier in the market stall. But these are really violent-looking creatures covered in orange fur, with very humanoid faces.
They're charging at us? Like,
yeah, they seem to be
eye
charging
contact.
Up. Yeah, they seem to be looking at you for sure.
Oh crap! This place is
All right.
Pokemon.
I'm just kind of taking like long strides toward them. And making and holding eye contact with whatever the one on the front is that's closest.
Okay. As these things run up, Reggie says, "Mistress Venadia, watch out, those are Baragura. They'll, if they can grapple you, they'll squeeze you until all life is gone from you. I'm not sure, but they seem to be working for the Harmonium, or at least they're wearing the army of the Harmonium. It's the law-keeping force here in Sigil. You'd be wise not to run afoul of it. You may wish to see what they have to say, if they do in fact have something to say."
Yep.
Do they speak
Maggie,
a common tongue?
I'm not drawing any weapon or anything, but I'm gonna meet them to where they can say whatever it is they're on their way over to say.
Okay.
Maggie casts thaumaturgy and yells, "Well met, friends. How can we help you?" Or, sorry, casts thaumaturgy, so she's got a loud voice.
Yep. So as you do this, you notice that Jesh, sort of takes a few steps off to one side and makes himself not particularly noticeable. And with these three things, when your voice begins to boom, they come to a slow and then a stop and sort of plod up to the four of you. And one of them walks up to Tohan, looks him up and down, and he stands about eye to eye with you, Tohan. He's a fairly large creature. And he takes a single finger and pokes it really hard into your chest. Says, what do we got here? More clueless new primes? They'll be in the meat wagons in a week.
That's good. I like meat.
So
do you kind of sniff him when you say that?
Yeah, kind of just flex my robot arm.
Yeah, one of the other soldiers looks at it and says, "What's that you got? Bit of shine."
Oh, this whole thing. You know, gets here and there. I'm just trying to talk like him. I don't. Like I'm trying, like the person doing like a fake British accent to a British person.
Maggie says, "Is there something we can help you with?"
Yeah, what are you supposed to be, the welcoming committee?
We're looking right now for a highly sought after individual. He's committed a felony.
What sort of
I
felony?
chuckle and say, you're going to have to be more specific.
More specific? What are you, some kind of wise guy then?
Maggie says, "We've only just arrived, but what's the felony and who are you looking for?"
So, as you begin to ask this, from behind these three, Jesh suddenly appears and just lays his hands on the shoulders of two of them. And as soon as his hands touch their shoulders, immediately their demeanor changes. And you can tell that these two begin to look very, very afraid for some reason. Like, you're not sure why, but only that they look like they've got a panicked look in their eye. These are the two standing behind the one that was poking Tohan, like they were just behind him. And within a matter of a few seconds...
would-be guide?
Yeah. Within a matter of a few seconds, they have turned and fled, and leaving their leader kind of looking over his shoulder, scratching his head like, where did they just go? Jesh, however, has slinked back into the shadows.
Nope.
I think your friends just left you.
Yeah, well,
Noticing all this going on, I chuckle.
You know, I didn't get to be captain of the guard by being the coward like them. They'll get demoted, don't you worry.
I start kind of walking, I'm just sidestepping casually so that we're kind of in a flanking position too, and not just as a gut instinct from her training and security detail and Waterdeep and stuff. She's just kind of like taking a more strategic position.
Maggie asks,
I also quietly whisper my command word and hop on my broom and rise up about 15 feet to observe the whole situation.
Maggie asks, "Tell us about who you're looking for."
Well, and as he's saying this, now he's looking around like he's really become concerned at the odds that have just shifted in your guys' favor. Well, it's not important. It's official business. Just move aside. And he just sort of tries to push past Tohan to exit this alley and continue on his way towards where his friends ran off to.
Maggie probably takes him by the hand and guides him around. "I'm sorry, dear, he's in the way. You'll have to go around."
Tohan, any reaction from you when this guy shoulder checks you when he goes to walk by?
Nah.
Nah, you just let him go.
He's killed enough things. He doesn't need to made feel tough by having a pissing contest in an alley.
Nice.
Definitely. I just say, I hope you find what you're looking for.
So as the
Maybe if it was a human, I don't know. I think he feels stronger with non-humans.
so as this final creature leaves this we call him Baragura, um Jesh once again kind of steps out of the shadows and he says, "Gotta be careful about that. Those ones there, most likely not real hardheads, not real harmoniums, but the real ones, they're a bit more rigid than that. Most likely those were just namers playing swords and having a bit of fun. Might have gotten a hold of someone's armor or something. You see, namers are the lowest of the Fractals. They'll just sort of associate themselves with one of the factions here in Sigil. It's the actual Fractals you have to worry about, the ones that are lifers."
I say with a smirk on my
I
face,
don't think
are
I
you
speak
sure
this
they
guy's
weren't?
language.
I say with a smirk on my face, are you sure they just weren't looking for you?
Oh, I've had far worse than them looking for me and evaded them. Those ones there, most likely they were just some sort of heels working for one of the hags in the area, perhaps Verinus. She delights in harassing newcomers, and she sometimes hires out Baragura to coerce new folk such as yourself to go to her restaurant, the Worm's Guts.
I say to him in infernal, in some sort of infernal idiom, like the sort of like let's not beat around the bush, and I ask him what was with the parlor trick.
Oh, nothing much, just a simple fear without error spell that I've managed to slap together. So yeah, he's sort of at this point
What's this guy's name? I'm sorry.
Jesh Shale.
Jesh.
Yeah,
Just-
Jesh.
Just so you know, Jeff, the last person that tried to screw us over, he ended up not so good, and he was an okay guide, and his name was Malkani.
Never heard of him, Jesh says.
Yeah, you're welcome.
He says, "Look,
I
I
just
don't usually do this, but Inamingle's in a bit of a bind. He's really looking for some people to do some work for him today. So I tell you what, I'll waive my normal 10 silver jinx fee. I'll
We're
bring you
not
there.
worried about your fee.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
throw him 10 gold. Here you go.
Yeah.
He kind of looks at it and he says, "Well then, there's a man who knows how to tip."
Maggie says, take us for a good lunch, and we'll talk to your friend."
Of course. And he actually leads you. I get switched to my map. Because my map's got stuff on it. Zoom in for me here. Let's see. So yeah, he leads you to a place called Imel's Happy Tongue Restaurant. And with that 10 gold, he actually throws down 5 of it on the counter and he says, "A feast for today's lunch, Imel. What do you think?" And Imel kind of rolls his eyes and looks at Jesh like, "You're so full of shit." And then he looks down and sees 5 gold coins on the counter and he's like, looks at you, looks at Jesh again, and then scoops the coins off the counter and scurries into the kitchen. And let's
Maggie
see.
says, "We hear you're a great cook."
I just gotta scroll a million pages on my PDF to get to this section here. What's this one? Yeah, so After just a second, Emel comes out, now wearing a suit and bow tie, like a fancy waiter. Um, in just a matter of a few moments, it seems like a very short amount of time for him to change into a separate set of clothing. And you also notice that although the place has several diners, there don't seem to be any other wait staff or anything. It's just Emel. Emel is a short, even for a dwarf, and very thin and gaunt. He's not stocky like most dwarves that you've seen, but he definitely has dwarvish features. He's got a short beard instead of a long beard. He doesn't seem to have long flowing hair. It's very neat cut, like a crop cut. And he comes out and presents you with a menu that says Emel's Happy Tongue, casual and family dining, eat in or take out. This week's feature, cheeses of the plains. Kriegel Black, a full-bodied cheddar from the Beastlands for 8 silver. Warrior's cheese, sharp, hearty delicacy flavored with Bartorian smoke. It's in cursive. For 2 gold pieces. Bitopian Red, made from the milk of Dothian goats, a nice breakfast cheese for 1 gold piece. Tiefling's Delight, special for our Tiefling friends, a blend of Bitopian Red and mint for 2 gold pieces. And Death Cheese, prime material treat made from antelope's milk. All prices are per pound.
I don't know. What do you guys want to just get like a little assortment?
It's cheese food, just like that's it. Just the cheese.
Yeah, that's what he's selling, is cheese.
Yeah, I'm down with an assortment, I guess. Try
Wait,
it
how
all.
many types was that?
There's
We'll
5.
take 2 of each.
Let's
I
get
was gonna say there's 5 types. The most expensive is 10 gold pieces. The least expensive is 8 silver pieces. Most of them are like 1 or 2 gold pieces for the other 3.
Maggie's
And
just kind of smiling at him and saying, like, "We're hungry, serve whatever."
I was hoping for some more carbs. I'm trying to bulk up still.
So Emel scurries back off into the kitchen, and he comes out with this massive cheese platter. When it says, each one is a pound, you think that maybe he was being particularly generous due to the extra 5 gold that he already received. But he comes out, and he's in very good cheer, and he begins to kind of talk to you and ask you where you're all of you are from.
Can I do an Arcana check to sense how he's doing everything and what magic he has going on to change so quick and have no wait staff and all this?
Yeah, go ahead and give me an Arcana check.
Maggie will give you guidance, D4.
All right, hold on, wait. Use that D4 real quick. 20. Dirty 20.
Okay. So you're not sure, but you think that the second time when he came back out with all the cheese in hand, you think you may have seen several items kind of floating about all Fantasia style in the back, and the spell Unseen Servant comes to mind.
Gotcha. So this guy clearly has some magical abilities.
Yeah, it seems it, or at least he has somebody working for him that does or something, but yeah, there's some funky stuff going on in the kitchen, it seems like.
Is that what level spell is that? Is that like a?
It's a level 1 spell. I have it.
Maggie tells him, "We fell from the sky and met your friend Jesh here. He tells us you're well connected in the city, and we'd be happy to share a feast with you if you'll sit down with us."
Emel says, I've eaten enough cheese this week for 100 of myself. Then he pats his belly, and he's got this like unimpressive like dad bod going on. He's like 10 extra pounds of skinny fat.
That probably hasn't pooped in 3 days.
Yeah, exactly. It's his belly's all distended and stuff.
Well, what do you have besides cheese then? We'd like to eat with it.
He says, well, we've got ale.
Cheese and ale.
Well, now you tell me.
And he snaps
Yeah,
his fingers.
I just throw a gold up on the bar and just say, yeah, one for each of us.
Yeah, he snaps his fingers, and out comes as you kind of could pick up on, there's clearly some unseen force carrying this thing, because it's bobbing like a person walking with it. A keg that's about, like the mid-size kegs, like in our terms, it would be like a quarter keg. But turned on its side and small. So he brings out a full keg of this ale for you, sets it on the table kind of ceremoniously. And Imel says, "Oh, begging pardon, I just have to see to something quickly." And he runs back into the back. The door swings closed behind him, and again you can see, like within your line of sight for this place, you can see like dishes going, clanging together, being washed. Just all sorts of kitchen stuff's going on in the background. And Amel comes back again, and this time when he comes back, he's back in his chef's coat. And he says, "Sorry about that, just had to deal with some ordering. But yes, Jesh, what were they talking about? About powerful influence? What?" And Jesh kind of looks at you, Maggie, and he sort of like shakes his head, and he's like, that's Damn it, now I forgot the name again.
Indigo, Montoya.
Yeah.
You killed his brother, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, prepare to die.
Oh, well, Maggie apologizes and said, I'm sorry, Josh, I thought that's who you're introducing us to here.
Yes, we didn't know you didn't know we were going to a cheesemonger first.
Yeah. Inimigal, that was the guy's name, sorry. Yeah, so he tells you that we can go over to the Black Sail shortly and meet with Inimigal. He's usually there and during his time off, and he says it in sort of a weird tone. Imel says, what's that old devil up to?
I mentally ask Reggie if we should trust eating or drinking any of this food.
I'm already eating and drinking.
Well, I quietly observed Tohan for a few minutes to make sure nothing seems to be affecting him before I start.
I look at my half-emptied stein and burp and go,
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like looking at it like,
I mean, she sniffed the cheese. It's fresh enough.
Yeah, I mean, it stinks to high hell, so it's probably good.
Yeah.
I start nibbling on some of that red goat cheese.
Yeah, I mean, all the cheese is delicious, as a matter of fact. Like, every bit of the cheese you guys try is really, like, this is high-end, like, nice shop cheese. This is not, like, produced at some factory somewhere.
I compliment him on his cheese.
Same.
Imel bows deeply, and he's sort of now rushing back and forth between the kitchen again, and it seems like there's maybe something going on in there that he keeps attending to, and then coming back out to check up on everyone.
I asked him if perhaps there's anything I could help him with, and give him do some sort of parlor trick to show that I have magic ability.
He says, "Oh no, this is just day-to-day activity. It's really nothing. Some of the unseen servants are demanding that I give them paid time off, and I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. There's this whole new government thing here. I believe it was called the Fair Workers Act or something like that. Something the Harmonium came up with."
Maggie says, "All that sounds very good, and now you've got the gold, so we expect you'll do so."
I suppose that's a good point. I guess I could close up a little early today.
They're working hard. They deserve the time.
So Imel, he goes back into the kitchen, and after a brief moment of what sounds like hurried shouting, he comes back out and he says, "Well, folks, yes, we will in fact be closing in, well, as long as it takes me to finish doing the dishes, I'll be shutting up shop here, and we'll start again tomorrow. But that's it's probably for the best. I think I could use a day off as well."
Wouldn't you have your unseen servant do the dishes for you?
Well, I would, but as soon as I mentioned them getting a half a day, they all threw down their equipment and left. I saw towels and knives go flying everywhere, which is actually rather disturbing.
Well, it sounds like it was about time. We'll expect more of this kind of good treatment in the future, right?
As long as they keep making me money like this, then I see no reason that I can't give them a little bit of ground to go on. They can tell
A
him
happy worker is a productive worker.
yeah, he's trying to be a decent guy about stuff.
Maggie asked,
I asked him if there's anything I could mend for him in thanks for treating his workers well.
Says, can you prestidigitate? Perhaps you could
I
clean the
can.
dishes.
I can do that spell actually.
Okay, yeah. So if you want, he would totally accept help doing the dishes with magic. Because he's always just had like this. He's had an enchantment on the business itself for so long of these unseen servants that work there, and apparently they
I
started
forgot you
unionizing.
can clean shit with that spell.
Yeah, absolutely. You can clean dirt off from objects.
Yeah, I will totally help him with that just to, do a solid.
I mean, cheese usually doesn't leave that much of a mark on
Yeah,
plates.
exactly. It's not, it's literally pretty much spraying them off. I don't know what they use for a sprayer, but it's probably something cool. It's like some Flintstone shit where they like pull the neck of some big lizard and it like fires out like some acid onto the plate and melts the food off.
Some kind of frog that shoots out like water out of its mouth.
Yeah. Like they always had that shit in the Jetsons and the Flintstones. There's just an animal that just did stuff.
It's a living.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. The alarm clock bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess while that's going on, Maggie uses the Reggie channel to tell everyone if the Lady of Pain is sending these horrible monsters to find us, we're on her radar, and that seems like the most important thing to do right now is to see what her deal is and either, I don't know, probably find an audience, try to get an audience with her.
We came here to kill her, right?
Is that
Maybe.
what we were here for?
We should
Yeah, she's the one that's sending the kaiju monsters after us.
Yeah, we should find out what we can do, and we should step carefully with these people because probably telling them might.
Sorry, go ahead.
Might get us some enemies.
Yeah, we'll sneaky kill her. Don't tell
Well,
Jeff.
we definitely want to see her on our terms instead of hers.
So let's get to that guy and see if he can tell us more.
All right, Jeff. Looks like we're done here. Time to go to your boss.
Yes, that sounds like exactly what we need to be doing. It's Black Sail's over in the lower ward, so it's going to be a bit of a trek to get there. Just a couple hours, maybe walk, or we could, if you're not in the mood to walk, we could hire one of the mantas. He sort of indicates as you guys are exiting Imel's shop. He points, and you see at one edge of the bazaar, there is a booth with a kind of raised deck, and next to it are several what look to be some sort of metal structure that look essentially like a manta ray. However, they seem to be made of some sort of metal. And this metal still flexes and moves much like a manta ray. You can hear it kind of creaking and groaning. And you notice that on their backs they have small, like what look to be like little like seats or like cushions.
How much should I mark off for the cheese, by the way?
Say he gave you a discount and it was 25 altogether. So he knocked a couple of gold off for you.
My shit's frozen.
Maggie is not really into that idea and says she'd rather walk and see the bazaar and doesn't mention her fear of flying.
Okay. So Jesh tells you it is right this way, and he begins to lead you guys.
Yeah, I want to be on the lookout if I see any like cool looking curio shops or something.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. Right now, you guys were in fact at the you were essentially in the dead center of the Great Bazaar at first. You then headed, I'll show you where Emel's was. Emel's was down here in the kind of in one of these little alleys.
We're still on the Jesh photo.
Yeah, I don't see the map.
Oh, oops, sorry. Forgot to switch that back. Yes. So map only. There we go. Okay, so that where the green dot or red dot is now, that's where Imel's was. This right here is the actual like center of the Great Bazaar, essentially. And that's pretty much you had first met Jesh, we'll say down here on this little alley there. I wish I could get a little bit closer, but well.
Is it Swan's Way?
So there is Swan's Way. Yep, that's where you originally met with him. And yeah, we'll say that when you leave Imel's, he leads you up Saints Boulevard.
Okay.
So this is going to be the tricky part, is me tracking it on both maps, because I've got one on Tabletop Simulator and one on the internet. So going up Saints Boulevard, you come to a location that is labeled the Debtor's Pole. So let me find that. I should be on page 90 something here, 92. As soon as I find it.
All this talk about cheese has me craving cheese pretty desperately.
I know. Yeah. I actually have a frozen pizza in the oven, so I'm like, okay, well, I wasn't excited about frozen pizza, but now that we're like stoked on cheese, I'm like, okay, well, this is cheese all over it.
Here we go. So you come to a pole that has a notice posted on it, and the notice itself says, "For the debtor's pole, display until further notice. Know them by their crimes." And it has a list of names and a list of debts that they owe to various places. For example, one of them says Unazis, default on payment of back rent in amount of 12 gold pieces. Arian's boarding house, Guildhall Ward. So these seem to be public notices of the crime of debting.
Public shaming.
Yeah, exactly. Public shaming. Some of them actually have rewards. Like a few of them say like reward 3 gold pieces for return of coin or corpse of thief. One says reward 10 gold pieces for information. You actually notice most of them, when they say reward, just say like X amount for information. So you get the feeling that maybe someone like Jesh, this is one of their kind of daily occupations, is checking these polls.
Oh, he's a narc. Oh God.
Aren't you a cop? Hold on.
Chaotic good, okay?
Not yours is
Like most cops.
I'm not a cop. I'm security. Okay, there's a difference. I actually do my job.
Let's see. So yeah, you notice that it's, like I said, like a list of public debt shaming, essentially. He continues to bring you. Oh, hey, there it actually is on the map right there. There actually is a pole on the map. Cool. He continues up the Saints Boulevard until you reach next event here. You pass by a spot called Chirper's Inn. It looks like a sprawling inn that doubles as some sort of tourist trap, and Jesh warns you as much. He says you don't ever want to go there. That place, they'll sell you every bit of clothing, tell you it'll make you blend in, and it just makes you stick out more like a sore thumb. The good thing is anyone's welcome there as long as they have money to spend and they're willing to keep the peace. But you can kind of see that it literally looks like the shadiest like tourist trap type store ever. There's like shirts that say like "Welcome to Sigil," you know, like things like that. Like just garbage.
like sweatshirts with the name of the town that you're in.
Yeah, just straight trash.
Yeah,
straight trash. He leads you through this alley past this place, and he points out to you the Flame Pit's bathhouse. He says that there's a It's a bathhouse serves clientele with unusual and unique needs or desires, like, a good soak in a lava pool, or maybe some noxious ooze, and, or maybe the other way, the purest water untouched by any contaminants. A very high-end spa, essentially. Next, he passes by Nitman's aerial tours.
Does anyone want to get mani-pedis while we're here? Just throwing it out there.
No. What is Nitman's?
Venadia bites her nails.
She's like, oh yeah, mani-pedi, jump.
Zach, what'd you say Nitman's was?
Nitman's aerial tours, which I'm trying to scroll and find right now. I think it's right there.
Venadia is extremely intrigued. Suspecting it may have something to do with an airship ride.
Here we go. So Nitman also rents the same flying mantas, but he explains to you that these are actually, or Jesh explains to you, these are actually carpets of flying made from sheets of thin brass that this guy cut into the shape of mantas. So this is where he manufactures these to sell them to like street vendors. The edges of the sheets are kind of rolled over to prevent the carpets from slicing anything or anyone that they happen to brush against while flying. The mantas are 6 foot by 9 foot and have the same properties as a carpet of flying of that size. He charges 10 gold pieces per half hour, including a tout, which Jesh scoffs at. For an extra 3 gold pieces, he offers you on top of that 10, he offers you a personalized tour and will guide the manta himself. They are willing to take you anywhere in Sigil, including the Hive Ward. You're not really sure why that's important, but
I ask him, what's the price for people who aren't clueless?
he says it's 10 gold pieces. It's quite fair.
Seems fair.
He says, I'll sell you one if you're a big spender. 10,000 gold pieces, you can have your very own manta. I'll make one for you. Custom.
My nostrils flare, but I'm going to pass on that offer.
You're like, damn it, I wish my credit was better.
Like, there's basically my cut. No, I'm good.
I was going to say, we have a lot of fucking gold. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, we can definitely swing that if you really want it on.
Like he sees them thinking about it, and it's like we should go.
We can revisit this offer for sure.
We have a periodot that's worth 10,000.
That's true. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm forgetting about the pearls and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, you guys have all kinds.
I was thinking about our original like 50K that we had, but yeah, I think we got like $250,000 now or something with everything, or close to it.
Yeah, those gems are in like a bag inside like my underwear. Like
yeah, the family jewels, as it were.
Added value.
Very cool.
So
yeah, I don't know. I don't have a place to put it right now, but maybe we'll come back and pick up one of those because that sounds pretty dope.
Yeah, Nitman tells you the offer's always open. He makes them to order, so it only takes about 2 days to make one from start to finish. So one thing you notice is as you approach Nitman's, it's sort of on the outskirts of the market district. So Nitman's is here. And you can kind of see it. He's got like this little thing up here, the little bubble airship looking thing. So now you are in an area where there are a few kind of like townships or large, almost like castles within the city that are separated only by these wide open streets. So one of them is referred to as Gunderhavel. One of them is referred to as the Forest, and you probably see a street sign that directed you at this stuff. And one of them is referred to as the Gymnasium District.
Dude, let's go work out.
So, which one of those would you like to see on your way over to the Black Sail? Jesh asks.
Oh God. All of
Well,
them.
Aranith is forever the nature elf and is always curious about an area that's called the
For
forest.
sure.
Same.
I would. Yeah.
Nature
Sounds pretty dope. I'm also extremely curious about what a gymnasium district even could be, but
So Jesh tells you that he shows you the forest as you begin walking towards it. That Reshfad's Persona Levisicum is a place where customers can temporarily alter their personality in any way they choose. And he tells you that the Gymnasium District is home to the Escort Guild Hall.
Huh. What sort of escort?
That sort of escort.
sick.
Yes, there's a guild of them. City
Should
this
we go
big,
get
it makes
some
sense.
just to have them follow us around, just so we can look really baller, or what?
I think we're trying to keep it low profile.
We'll
just-
keep them out of
Wait.
trouble for a night, and they can just kick back and drink some wine or something.
So now you know what
Hey,
sort of
the-
exercise they get in the Gymnasium District, that's all.
Uh-huh.
The personality,
different
the
kind of
personality
jumping
change
jacks.
thing. Can Tohan get more intelligence?
If I only had a brain.
He says that they are able to make all kinds of alterations, although he himself has personally never been interested in being anyone other than himself, when you ask Jesh.
Wait, what
I'm
is?
just-
Explain that again.
I go, aw.
So the place in the forest that he points out is a personality alteration business.
I'm just asking if it can
Yeah.
deal with character. Your intelligence
So like
constitution and all
meta
that.
speaking, you would literally have to go in there and talk to whoever the NPCs were in there to find that out, because Jesh literally doesn't know.
Aranith is curious just to see what it's all about, and asks Reggie what he thinks.
Reggie would probably tell you that any manner of personality change is more like it won't manifest itself in a physical sense, most likely. So in terms of Tohan becoming more intelligent, probably not. However, could it change a person's personality, or like a flaw in their personality, or perhaps change their bonds or ideals? Then yes.
Oh, no, Aranith loses her interest.
Like, oh, it's actually talking about personality. Ew.
Now he says, if only we had that paladin around.
Right?
And teach Guilfoyle not to steal.
Right, so
No,
you
we
guys-
like Guilfoyle stealing.
So you guys make your way through here, checking these
That's
things
probably
out.
what's got the two of them preoccupied all this time. And
Yeah, they're locked and they're canceling each other out.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just the Benny Hill theme is just playing nonstop while they're like sped
Going
up
through different doors.
silent movie style chasing each other around.
Yep. Yeah, well, it's one of them chasing the other one, and then they go off screen, and then when they come back on screen, it's the other way around,
Yeah,
so that
exactly.
the Guilfoyle is chasing the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally
100%.
see
And
that.
then they're
That's-
both being chased by some random monster.
That's every time that we've mentioned them, there's actually been a segue that's just cut away to them doing that.
100%. Yeah.
So continuing on your trek towards this Black Sails Inn, you see several other locations. Although now Jesh, after the first like half hour or so of kind of guiding you around, he's willing to quickly tell you about things, but he's also trying to keep you moving. So as you pass the next few spots, he points out Ensign's Discount Liquors, which is a potion shop run by the wizard Ensign. He tells you that his potions tend to be kind of mass produced and cheap. he points out the Hall of Speakers, which is this big, crazy-looking building over here. And keep in mind, you guys are now like at a fairly brisk walk, I'm assuming. So he points out the Hall of Speakers and tells you that this is a high-level business, or that high-level business of running Sigil's government is handled here, as representatives of the factions gather to debate and enact legislation as well as set more unofficial policies. So it's essentially like one of the government buildings.
Like the Senate or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's where all the different representatives of the factions that seem to rule this town go. Carrying on. There is a large statue in the center of the road that you pass by, and he tells you that that is referred to as the Power of the One statue. You continue on down Hedgerow.
We've had a good look at pushing over statues.
He says, and he tells you he would not advise trying to push over this one. It might draw the ire of both the Harmonium and the jailers.
All right.
Now you're walking through a spot that is a little bit less dingy. You notice that there are a few more of those Dabus folk, and here they seem to be doing more mundane maintenance tasks, washing houses, washing the grime off from them and things like that, like keeping it a little bit nicer. And as you pass through it, he points out a few other establishments, such as Hilland Pastries, which is a very popular local spot. A large tavern in the middle of the administrator's district called the Tier of the Barghest Tavern. And so it continues on this way for some time. Passing several other taverns, the Crooked Sword Tavern. And he's telling you about these different places, saying like, that one's no good. Their ale's watered down, and this one's nothing like the Black Sail. The quality of Burks there are terrible. And so finally, I can figure out where I'm supposed to be going here. He brings you south. Let me just type it in the search bar because that's going to be a lot easier.
Arian, do you see any of your people here? Do you think they got eaten by that big monster and sent here too?
Aranet looks around and says, other than the one elf we saw, I haven't seen any that I've noticed.
I bet you this is where they disappeared to.
I asked Reggie if he thinks that's right.
Reggie is not sure about that. He doesn't think so, but he's not ruling it out. He says that the Outlands, according to Wikipedia, the area that holds the city of Sigil, are actually quite large, and Sigil sits at the center of them. And it is known that there are 13 border villages, or village gatehouses, as they are sometimes referred to, that also hold portals to other planes of existence. I can find where you guys wind up. You wind up in 3, 4. Where the hell is L10? Damn it. Oh, there we go. Just click on it. That makes more sense. Put your dot on there. So you guys make your way about halfway around the whole circle. And this takes several hours, even walking at a quick pace. There. Okay, so you guys are around there. And what you come across looks something like...
Josh.
Does anybody else get the Flash Gordon theme song when they hear Jesh? It's like, Jesh, ah!
Did it save every one of us?
I just keep thinking about What We Do in the Shadows and what's her name's boyfriend. Did you guys
Nadia?
watch that show at all?
I have not seen that yet at all.
Nadia's
Oh my
boyfriend
God,
there,
yeah, you gotta see that.
not
Um,
Nandor.
What are you referring to?
I can't think of her name.
Nadia.
Yeah, she's got like this. There's like this really dumb guy that he's apparently like been reincarnated like over and over again as like this
I know
idiot.
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. She calls him. His name is Jeff, and
Yeah, she calls him
she
Jeff.
Jesh. Yeah.
Jeff.
What show is that?
What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show based on the movie.
Oh, my bad. I'm not familiar.
Do you have
So
Hulu?
good.
It's actually really good. It's on Hulu.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
watch
do
it
have
on
Hulu,
Hulu and
actually.
something else. I forget.
Whatever.
Oh,
has that.
FX and Hulu. Yeah,
I'll have to check it out.
yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I saw ads for it. It did look funny. Let's see. So yeah, you guys wind up on Smith Street, and you are looking at the Black Sail Tavern and Inn. And so Jesh leads you inside, and you notice that fused to the tavern is the hull of an ancient galleon ship. Soot-stained sail hangs above the ship's gargoylish figurehead. Inside the ill-kept establishment, beneath a ribcage of dark rafters, is a dim common room lined with curtained alcoves. The sordid patrons congregate at tables placed in the middle of the room, while muffled voices can be heard behind thick curtains, which enclose the alcoves. The local riffraff pays little attention to your arrival, and a young serving maid pretends to ignore you. You might have mistaken her for an elf were it not for the small black horns protruding from her copper-tinged forehead.
That's what they look like.
That's what the Dabbis look like.
Oh, okay.
The ones that you were seeing clean the various places. And when you get in there, you see a couple different people. Let's see. One that you see is the barmaid. She looks like that. Kind of got this crazy like halter top thing going on. I swear to God, there wasn't really boobs in that picture, or I just edited it appropriately for YouTube. And then standing. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure that I find the right thing here. Standing near the barmaid, sort of, is another tiefling that looks like this. I don't know why she's in grayscale, but she is. So she stands there. She looks a bit more solemn about things. And finally, because my dumb butt forgot to add it in here, take a couple of seconds and add in the image that you guys would see of
Venadia, why do these tieflings all look way cooler than you?
Oh, you mean these tryhards? I was actually just gonna say that Benadio is like, upon seeing all these like characters, is like suddenly trying to walk like with like a little more swagger and try to seem like a little more badass or whatever.
Venadia just takes her pants off for some reason.
Flexing my quads.
Right, so you see sitting next to the barmaid and the tiefling fighter, this fella, this very large, fiendish creature of some sort, with, as you can see, one very large arm and one very small arm.
What does the Eye of Argos say?
Uh,
What were you gonna say?
so as you walk into the bar, Maggie she can pull the Eye of Argos down, and it reads out Yugoloth, fiend type. It says level and hit dice unknown. So you see him crunched at the back of one of these curtained alcoves. He's kind of sitting with the two tieflings as though he was in conversation with them before you walked in. The barmaid quickly turns and sort of walks back towards the bar. And as you step into the place, he sort of raises his small hand and waves you over. Take my small hand.
Cooked everything myself. These are the mashed potatoes.
So yeah, this guy is he's sitting there with this tiefling fighter looking woman. And Jesh looks at the four of you and says, "Oh, there he is. There's Inmingle. That's who we're here to see."
All right, let's do it.
Not
Zach.
that I'm not happy he's wearing the book, but what's with the book?
So, fun fact, when I looked up a photo of a Yugoloth, on the Reddit post that it got this from, it actually said, and I quote, "Me and my friends call him the Dick Book Demon." And I was like, that's amazing. I love it.
DBD.
Yeah, DBD, Dick Book Demon.
Erin is intrigued by the book being such an avid reader as she is.
Yeah.
Maggie,
Maybe
seriously,
Why
a
don't you go read
closer
through
look,
it?
Aaron.
You think he ever shuts himself in it? It's gotta hurt.
I know he's definitely got pubes in that book. That's for sure.
Sorry, Mark's
They may actually be
pages.
his like placekeepers, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's you want to tab out your book real quick, just throw a pube in it. It's perfect.
Yeah. You don't want to dog ear the pages because that's then you mess it all up. And
No, that's a travesty. You do not dog ear pages of a book.
yeah.
put a pube in it.
Yeah. Pro tip, kids. Okay.
Yep. All you viewers on the
You got-
internet, I'm
you got all
so
the-
sorry.
Got all the bookmarks you could want.
Oh, damn.
So, sorry, I lost my train of thought completely. So as Jesh leads you over to introduce you, Inmingle is very friendly for his visage, and he explains to you that he is always interested in hiring on newcomers to the city, as he has lots of jobs that need to be done, and a large portion of his day, or night as it were, is spent occupied elsewhere. He has obligations to fulfill, so he has people run errands for him during those times. He says that he heard through the Razorvine that Verinis sent a few of her goons after you. He suggests that you stay away from her and be warned that she has powerful friends in Sigil. Her cuisine has won the affection of at least 3 pit fiends, not mentioning any names. This is where I can help you, he says. He tells you that, as is the case with many primes, his guess is that you are trying to find a way home. Yes, is this true?
Yeah, we just got some errands to do first.
He nods. He explains to you that inside a place called the Zakhtar Cathedral is a portal leading to other planes, including one leading to the prime material plane. As it happens, he says, I have free access to this portal, and I can offer you safe passage from Sigil in exchange for a small service. And he says, the service is not for me. I'm sure that you don't exactly trust me based on the looks on your faces.
I'm just staring at the book. Just staring it, just straight at it.
He kind of coughs, and gives you the "my eyes are up here" look.
No, I don't look.
Says, perhaps you are familiar with the Waiting Ones? No, of course not. You wouldn't be. It's a faction that disappeared a long, long time ago, shall we say, under mysterious circumstances. He says the Waiting Ones believed that everything in the universe existed for the benefit of the one true being, an ultra-powerful entity created by the gods themselves. The leader of this faction, Zakhtar, believed that the true being would take the form of a child, whom the faction would raise, and whose powers could be nurtured. It is written that the child would be recognized by a ring-shaped birthmark on the palm of her left hand. As custodian of the Zakhtar Cathedral, I have become something of an expert in ancient Zakhtar lore, and I believe his prophecy holds true. My spies inform me that a child bearing the mark of Zakhtar has been seen in the ladies' ward, held in the custody of the Harmonium. Very little about the faction is known, but the Hardheads, the Harmonium, obviously view the Zakhtar philosophy with distrust or contempt. Otherwise, they would not prevent the child from fulfilling her destiny. It is my wish to see the Zakhtar faction revived, and their cathedral restored to its former glory. The child must be set free, and for that I require your assistance.
Well, what kind of assistance do you require?
Ah, yes, he says. Durkale. He's a high-up mover in the Harmonium. He's a mover of the Fourth Order, looking to become Fifth Order, I believe. His ambition and brutality are known and feared throughout Sigil and the Outlands. The Child of Prophecy is being held inside his tower, not far from the Harmonium barracks. My spies tell me Durkale has placed the child in the hands of his Batizu minions. So I believe all of you would have, lore-wise, heard of both Batizu and Tanari. These are basically devils and demons in layman's terms. It's sort of like the technical name for them. And he continues on. Anyone who's ever worked with Batizu know how horribly they corrupt the innocent. And you can kind of tell that he is a Tanari type. If you rescue the child from Durkale's tower and bring her to the Zakhtar Cathedral, I will give you free use of the portal and anything else within my means.
I ask Maggie silently through our channel if she's familiar with this church.
Would I be? They roll for it.
Go ahead and roll me either religion or history. Oh, give me 1 second because I want to grab a cigar real quick. I'll be right back.
90-20. Yeah, for a cleric, Maggie's religion check is pretty low, but she did roll a nat 20, so that's 23.
All right, I'm sorry.
You guys probably need to rest too, right? At some point, because
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, I don't need to, but yeah, not a bad idea. I was going to tell you guys that I wrote into Vanadia's backstory that her father is a Tanari demon. She doesn't know that because her whole Tiefling origin is kind of a mystery to her, but yeah, so fun fact.
Yeah, isn't it
Zach.
interesting that you guys wound up meeting one of these guys? It's crazy. It's almost like everything's connected.
Weird, right?
are you my dad? Just ask every demon if it's your dad.
Zach, Maggie rolled a 23, and I mean, if she's able to give herself guidance, I could add to that.
Okay, so you have heard of essentially the concept of the one above all, or the one who is above all. There's many different names throughout the histories, but what you have found through your religious studies and through some cross-referencing of other religions is that almost every religion throughout all of Toril that you know of has some sort of a deity where many gods got together and gave this deity all of their, like, some of each of their power, and that deity became then this all-powerful being that ruled over all of them. Like the gods give birth to their own gods sort of thing. It's like a very common mythos among all religions. So you think
And that's what they believe this girl is.
yeah, they seem to think that she is like the second coming, essentially, of this one true being.
Well, we have to
Maggie
kind
is
of go in
suspicious
there
of the idea,
anyway,
but
don't we?
what's that?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just going to say we have to kind of go that and deal with them anyway. But what were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say Maggie's suspicious of that idea, but as soon as he said there's a child in captivity that they're trying to corrupt, she was down. She didn't need to hear anymore. She was so ready to go.
Aaron
And
always likes to get all the information.
so the Inmingle kind of he sees you hesitating, and he's to him, when you guys are talking silently for a few minutes, it just looks like you're all shooting each other funny looks. So he's just like, wow, these guys are really new, like they're real fresh in Sigil. um he says, I assure you I am simply fulfilling my role as a good Samaritan. It is not my intention to deceive. After all, benevolence is literally my middle name. But I can tell from your expressions that you doubt my sincerity. Do not judge me so harshly, my mortal friends. I have no interest in profit. I would never inflict harm upon an innocent child, as much as that might surprise you. If you simply must know, I was summoned to guard the Zakhtar portal until the return of the waiting ones. An event which, I must say, has been a long time coming. The one true being's presence in the cathedral will signal the completion of Zakhtar's prophecy and herald the faction's return. Once the Zakhtar faction is restored to its former glory, my services will no longer be required, and I shall be free to return to my domain in Gehenna. Ah, how I miss Gehenna in all its flaming glory.
Okay, I think we can help you here, though we do need a place to sleep here because we actually need to rest, and then perhaps you could show us somewhere we can get outfitted so we don't look like strangers.
Ah, yes, now you're thinking like a true cutter. So at this point, Inmingle takes a small pouch of coin and tosses it to Jesh, who catches it deftly. And he
God,
tells
where was he keeping that coin
Yeah.
pouch?
it was in the book.
Behind the book.
Yeah, it was straight up in the book. Like he just opens the book and there's coins there. It's crazy. It's actually all hollowed out.
Aaron makes a point of turning to him and asking him what is written in the book because she's just dying to know.
It says, well, you can just think of it as my little black book. You know, names,
I
numbers,
prefer
that
just
sort
to not think of it if I could.
of
Yeah,
thing.
Maggie thinks they're ignoring its existence.
Aaron smirks, raises an eyebrow, and nods, and just turns away.
You hear him mutter under his breath, really, everybody always asks about the damn book. Gotta get some new pants. It was the 90s, man. I don't know. The art was weird back then. You're just lucky it wasn't Jim Lee drawing it from like the X-Men, where everybody's just got massive thighs and no waist. So he asks Jesh to arrange with the proprietor of the inn to get you guys rooms and meals for the day, and tells you that upon the dawn, you can, or as soon as you are ready and able, he will arrange for someone to help guide you on your quest.
Maggie asks, we were warned against fighting with the harmonium. What's the risk here? What are we? What do you expect to happen when we get there?
He says, well, to be clear, only fools would smash their way into Durkale's stronghold. The cant is, he's got more than 200 hardheads stationed there. But don't let the numbers deter you. You must travel to the ladies' ward and seek out Zaraga, mistress of the Screaming Tower. To enter her lair, you must show its guardians this talisman, and he hands you a disc that sort of has like grooved lines on it, and like a string of leather running through the hole in the center of it. Like just picture like a 45 record essentially. And it's got this symbol on it that looks like our thing that we had up at the beginning of the game.
You're gonna have to move the book.
Which is funny because I'm literally actually trying to move the book at this point. There we go. Bam.
He moves the book, but his hands don't touch it, and you're like, wait a second.
So the disc essentially has this symbol etched onto it, like these 3 lines here, and
Looks like a new wave album.
yeah, literally. And he tells you that in order to gain entrance to the Screaming Tower, you have to hand them that disc and recite to its guardians the following oath to the Lady of Pain. He tells you that the oath goes, I swear this oath to Sigil's guard, Lord of all she gazes. I pledge my life to her, the one who spares me from the mazes. And then he kind of pauses for a second. He says, it's a catchy little rhyme. Just make sure you get it right. Once inside the Screaming Tower, you will meet Zaraga. Don't be alarmed by her appearance. She's as dear a woman as any fiend could ever set eyes upon. Give her the talisman, and she will help you. Do not give the talisman to anyone but Zaraga, or you won't live to regret your mistake.
Can you say the poem again?
Yes, I will do you one. Oh, maybe I won't do you one better because PDFs don't like copy paste. So the poem goes, I swear this oath to Sigil's guard, Lord of all she gazes. I pledge my life to her, the one who spares us from the mazes.
Okay.
And yeah, like you guys could always just say, like, yeah, we wrote it down. Like,
Maggie asks, "What does this oath have any actual magical binding power? And can you tell us more about this Lady of Pain?"
the lady, he says. I get to go into my homebrew notes. He says, what is there to say about our lovely lady? Well, I believe that there's a poem that says it quite well. That's a small piece of it, but I think perhaps I can find this. He says that the most important line of the poem is that which names her. It's an ancient verse, thought to be as ancient as this city itself. He says, body that never has act with a heart, O thy mouth, though thy kisses are bloody, though they sting till it shadow and smart, more kind than the love we adore is they. Hurt not the heart or the brain, oh, bitter and tender Dolores, Our Lady of Pain. So he sort of recites that before he's.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, that's a real poem too, by the way. It's from like 1898 or something. Like it's like this old ass poem, and that's the first reference to any Lady of Pain. And
cool.
So like D&D lore nerd speak. The original guy that wrote the Planescape campaign setting is rumored to have gotten his inspiration for the Lady of Pain from that poem. Like and I think it was either the writer or the artist. I think it might have been the artist, actually, now that I think about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty wild that they can take their influence from something 150 years old. Like, it's pretty.
Can you link that for us?
Yes, I will. Here
Just
I will.
like after.
Yeah, I can actually post this. Can I just do a?
But yeah, I would also like the answer to that question before of whether if saying this oath gives the Lady of Pain any sort of power over us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's an actual GIF of that other part of the poem.
Oh, cool.
So he tells you that not too much is known about the lady other than what people have seen happen. He speaks of her being able to flay people at a glance, quite literally just a look from her can be deadly, and tear the skin from the bones. He says that some of the worst offenders of the people who offend the lady the worst are banished to the mazes that reside beneath the upper city of Sigil. So he explains that it is thought that the Dabus originally were a underground race that existed within the very like the essence of the creation of Sigil, and that they still to some extent habit inhabit this like series of tunnels and caverns underneath the city. And several of these areas are known to be mazes filled with awful, terrible monsters from all planes of existence. Often, he tells you the Sigil, being the city of doors, will often have a portal open unexpectedly and some real nasty shit come through it and attack parts of the city, hence things like the Harmonium existing. So they do serve a purpose. They're not just like bullying lawkeepers. They are also an actual force of protection for the city. But he tells you that the lady is essentially her word is law, although word might be a misnomer because no one has ever heard her speak. Most people, if they encounter her, and live to tell the tale, only get a brief glimpse of her floating 10 to 15 feet above the city streets. And she takes the form of a giant woman wearing flowing robes with a headdress covered in blades, like full-size sword blades, essentially, like all poking out. He also tells you that the lady is in charge of all the doors in Sigil. And when he says doors, he means these portals to other planes. He tells you that a portal to almost any plane anywhere in the multiverse can be found here in the city if you know where to look for the key. He also tells you that the lady absolutely refuses any form of worship, and that gods themselves are actually not allowed in the city of Sigil. Their agents can travel through the city without much problems, or loss of use of their spells or anything. Like clerics still can be clerics in the city of Sigil, essentially, but the gods themselves are essentially banished because of something that happened a long time ago that has been long forgotten. So she is sometimes seen as a floating robed monolithic gargantuan woman with her impassive, expressionless face bracketed by an imposing mantle of sharpened blades. It seems that her chief imperative is maintaining the balance in Sigil. So yeah, when transgressors against this goal are not slain outright, they are involuntarily transported to one of an innumerable amount of densely convoluted magical mazes. Beyond this, what compels her to act, if anything, remains open to conjecture. On all other matters, she seems persistently apathetic.
Something tells me that diplomacy might be the best way to deal with this one.
Maggie's also curious what. Yeah, I mean, so like, does saying this oath actually bind them to something, or give them power, as Jen put it?
Make me a religion check.
All right. That is a 9. I'm gonna add my guidance to it. So 13 altogether.
So you know of a similar history for essentially a goddess of your pantheon from Jacinta. So two of the pantheon of Jacinta were actually Poseidon and Akkadi, so the god of water and the queen of air. Supposedly their daughter was set to marry Set the old serpent and decided to flee. And in order to lose her divine status, she drank from the river Styx, losing her memories in the process. She was banished to the nine hells and even the abyss, and she wandered, inflicting pain to any devil or demon who crossed her path till she gained the attention and wrath of their lords. That is as much as you know, but it fits with what he said of her being a creature of essentially neutrality and but suffering.
So us reciting this oath, I mean, yeah, like can he tell us, like, is that going to have any repercussion besides getting us access to the tower?
He says, well, as far as getting you access to the tower, that is its prime imperative. It's really like a passcode that we say in order to grant access to certain areas. But well, I suppose that depends on how much you believe the words of it. And he sort of looks at you, and for this, the first time that he sort of doesn't really smile, and it strikes you that maybe a Tenari that was essentially subjugated into service for this temple might know a thing or two about having to do crap based on an oath.
Mm-hmm. So, as a
Like I would say, your suspicion remains unconfirmed, but probably strengthened.
Maggie says, is there any other way to? Well, oh, the other question I had was what he said that if we give the thing to anybody else, it'll kill us instantly. Why is that?
I think it was more of a warning that he was like, yeah, you won't, like, if you give it to somebody other than her, chances are somebody's going to kill you or try to.
But who else is in the tower that would be trying to kill us?
Second, I'll find out. Let's see. He says that the tower is guarded by by a army of gargoyles that are bound by the oath to the Lady of Pain to destroy any who do not fulfill uh, essentially who do not fulfill their promise to her. So it seems like this disc is probably somehow linked to the lady. Um, like I would speculate on that myself. That any sort of portal key or door in Sigil has some sort of a direct magical like thread connection to the lady. She is like she exists in a way that seems outside of the god's grasps, and considering that magic is part of the god's realm, she's it's like she's on a parallel, wavelength essentially. So like she's in control of everything in the city is the feeling that you guys are getting here. So like all this political intrigue and shit doesn't seem to concern her. She doesn't care which factals or factions are trying to gain power against other factions. She is not there to dick around and play politics. She's there to maintain the city, essentially. And whatever the purpose that the Screaming Tower serves, other than being a meeting ground for you and Zaraga, it seems that that's part of her maintenance scheme, is making sure that that tower performs its functions.
Maggie tells him, surely you in your position can understand that I, as a cleric of Hestia, am not eager to pledge anything to the Lady of Pain. Is there any other way we can accomplish this good feat with you of rescuing this child?
Says, a faith issue, eh? Well, perhaps one of the other members of your party would not have such trepidations.
To pledge any of us to the Lady of Pain, as you can understand, concerns me.
Well, trust me, you'd rather be pledged to her than pledged against her. She's no one to be trifled with.
But is there a way to avoid this kind of interaction altogether and rescue the child.
Unfortunately, no. You'll need Zaraga and those gargoyles to get into Dirkale's stronghold.
Can I
I'll do it.
try to can I try to persuade him to have Zaraga, to be able to have Zaraga meet us somewhere else?
So unfortunately, my shift is about to begin, so I will not be able to parlay that information. I would send Jesh, but he has another task.
Okay.
You
Try
look
to
around and
persuade
you
him?
realize that Jesh is actually gone. You can try to persuade him if you want.
Also, I want to do an insight check to see if he's like deliberately avoiding us or actually like, looked at his clock.
Okay, go ahead and roll insight. So let's take the persuasion first.
No, that
No.
wasn't too good. I only got a 13.
Okay. So what specifically were you trying to persuade him of? Like to just
To
find
find
a different
another
way?
way for us. Yeah.
Yeah, he could just kind of shakes his head solemnly and says, "If there were an easier way, I would have already had it done."
I rolled 24 on insight.
Okay. You think that maybe he is finding an excuse to be done with the conversation, but he did tell you that he literally is like basically the night watchman at this temple. And assuming that a magical oath binding him there is going to be pretty powerful, and he's going to have to be compelled to go to it.
Fair enough.
Guys, if you need someone to say the pledge, then I'll just say it.
Word. But I mean, she's like also looking for you and trying to kill you. So
Then I should be the one to meet it head on. If that's where we got to go,
Yeah, well, let's take a rest and get some clothes first.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys are able to whittle away the evening in the lower ward. It is not a particularly pleasant area compared to some of the other stuff you've seen. Like the administration area or ward was decidedly nicer than any place else that you'd seen. But even like the dingy Great Bazaar is nicer than this place. Like it seems like there is a distinct lack of Dabus cleaning things here. The streets are in bad disrepair. Um, so if you guys go wandering about, there is a potential for an encounter to happen. Or if you stay in the Black Sail, chances are you can stay in your room quite safely over the course of the night. So it's up to you guys what you want to do. I know some of you only require, well, Arianth at least only requires a 4-hour trance to do a long rest. So she'd have a little extra downtime if she wants to do anything.
I mean, I wouldn't mind a little casual encounter.
Well, you saw where the escorts were, the Escorts Guild Hall. They're back at the gymnasium.
I think we should stick together, though.
for safety.
All right, so what would you guys like to do then?
The only thing Maggie wants to do is like basically before she goes to sleep, cast some sending spells and ask Elminster what the fuck. That's pretty much the phrasing. But
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if it's still, I don't know, like what the like kind of day night cycle kind of thing is, but if it's still early enough in the night, then I wouldn't mind doing like quick clothing shopping.
So one thing you guys noticed when you were falling into the city is that there was no noticeable like sun in the sky. However, over the course of your like maybe 6 or 7 hour trek to get to where you are now, you did notice it getting steadily dimmer, and on and off throughout the trek, there was like a light rain kind of that would come down, and it seems like the weather is essentially like picture Seattle. It's pretty much what the weather here seems to be like. Like there's not a lot of direct sunlight coming through, or really any sunlight because there was no sun. It's sort of a gradient background, if you will.
I know one thing I meant to ask you when we landed was if like I could kind of smell anything strange in the air that would be like get a sense of what was lending to all this smoggy kind of quality to the air.
The closest thing you would be able to associate it with is when you had grown up in Baldur's Gate. There was a lot of city construction going on, and you remember the dust from the construction settling everywhere and getting everything kind of dingy in the same way. But this seems like a exacerbated situation of that. Like it seems like, and from what you saw actually when you were walking on your trek, you see various areas that are like under what appears to be like some sort of construction, like buildings being demolished by crews of Davis, like things being constructed, like roadways being fixed. Like they are essentially like, you know, the DPW of Sigil, and they are hard at work in many spots. And then other spots, there's, like I said, a distinct like lack of them, where it seems like maybe in the not quite so prosperous wards. Fucking South Pearl Street. So Maggie wanted to send to Elminster. What sort of stuff are you asking him? What the fuck?
Well, yeah, basically, like, we're like, why is the Lady of Pain targeting us? We did not cast spells to travel through time. Now we are in, you know, we like Elf Eater transported us to Sigil, something like that, and then also what the fuck?
Yeah, it just ends with a big WTF exclamation mark, question mark.
Because like he's the motherfucker that transported us, right? Like, why is he blaming us for getting attacked?
Yeah, bruh.
Well, originally,
Victim blaming much?
What had originally happened was Malakani had showed up. He had banished you, but Nexa had been able to counter the banishment to some extent, and so instead of banishing you to another plane of existence entirely, he banished you into the past. Elminster and the Kelvin Blackstaff were able to devise a way to get you sent home. However, the machinations that you were involved in with allowing Todd Malakani to die may have altered your timeline and many other people's timelines in a way that was unforeseeable at the time. What effect this has had on the Lady of Pain or Sigil, he would not really be able to elaborate on. He would only probably be able to tell you that there was some connection there, that most likely some ripple through time had occurred and caused the lady to be concerned for her city existing. Although he has a few ideas of what this could be, he does not know for sure.
So does he still? Is he the one who's saying? Are we actually supposed to try and kill this lady? Because that sounds insane.
We didn't try. I mean, we ended up here totally by accident. I don't think he told us to do that.
Yeah, nobody actually said to kill her. I believe the World Tree told you that the Lady of Pain was in, like, essentially he had broken down. The Lady of Pain was in control of the portals that went through Sigil, and that possibly the Elf Eater had come through one of these portals back to our realm, because the last time that it was banished to the Outlands, which is the area surrounding Sigil. So it could be that she sent it. It could be that it made its way through one of these portals through some other nefarious force in Sigil. But overall, yeah, it wouldn't be a certainty to you guys, like why exactly you had wound up here.
Well, maybe it would be in our interest to try to have some sort of parlay with her, because if we get things squared away with her, maybe she can just help us get this kid without us having to go through all this shit.
After Elminster explains the situation, Maggie looks everybody in the eye and says, I won't say it again, but I will say it now. I told you. So she like looks them each in the eye, and she's like,
What are you talking about? I wanted to say Malakati too.
"What's that? You wanted
I
to
wanted
see?"
to say Malakati too.
Oh, well then, yeah. I guess it was it Venadia and Ariant that.
Yeah, we were the ones that wanted to do it. But then again, the next time over, I was the one who suggested
Yeah.
that perhaps we should go back and redo it. And everybody's like, no, fuck them.
Yeah, we got that big diamond or big black opal. I felt less bad about it.
So something else interesting happens when you guys are discussing this. Who has the lowest dexterity score among you four?
Probably me.
Probably me. Mine's 11.
Oh, okay, I got 12. So
All right,
16.
so at a certain point during the conversation, Arianth, you reach out for something off from like your pack or something, and you accidentally bump the button that's on your wristband that you were still in possession of. You just absentmindedly had not had time to take it off yet. And a strange thing occurs. You back up exactly 5 seconds in time, and you kind of relive that 5 seconds. And
Does anybody else notice this besides me?
nobody notices it besides you. Perhaps you even try the button a second time and the same thing happens, and this time it's a little bit later, but it's still 5 seconds or so. And it seems like some glitch has occurred that allows you this 5 second window.
Huh. Are we already resting for the evening?
I mean, we could say you guys
are.
are like in your room about to take your rest, yeah.
I'm wondering if can we see this tower that we're supposed to get into with the child in it from where we are?
No, even here, and more so here than in like the some of the nicer districts, the smog is still quite thick.
Oh, yeah.
And so yeah, and plus it's kind of dark. So like you are essentially looking out your window, and if you look up into the sky, you can see what appears to be just a large kind of corona of city lights going up into the sky, all the way up above your head to 10 miles away, and then back down the other side. You do notice on some of the streets these lights that appear very, very bright that seem to be moving up and down the streets as well.
How far away, or I guess like we're just kind of left by ourselves in the inn. Like Josh isn't still around.
Jesh has not returned. Nope.
So maybe the bartender can tell us how far away this tower is. Because what I'm thinking is Maggie could go send us a clairvoyance thing and like spy on them. If like Arianth could fly her over there or something.
Okay, let's see where it is. So the Screaming Tower. So it is about a quarter of the way around the donut. It is in Ladies'
We're talking
Ward.
several hours.
Yeah, it's probably about 5 or 6 hours travel through the streets. And this is predominantly not because of the length of the travel, because I mean, like an average human can walk, I don't know, a mile in 20 minutes probably, or even 15 if you're, an in-shape adventurer, and with no problems or exhaustion or anything. But it's more so that the city streets in most spots are quite busy, even at this hour of the night. You imagine that, like,
yeah, that's what I'm wondering. So if Arianth could fly Maggie over, like, just literally just close enough to see the tower, she could cast the clairvoyance.
As the bird flies, how long would it be?
We would say that you would actually be able to go up high, go to the inner dimension of the circle, and probably make it there in less than an hour.
Oh yeah, like an Arctic flight.
Exactly. Yeah, you're going up high into the like I mean the inner circle of the inner diameter of the donut is much smaller than the outer where you guys are standing.
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, so making up some of that time climbing, but yeah.
Should we do that while the other two go encounter?
Yeah, we'll bar fight some shit. Don't worry about it.
Is this what we're doing before we do our rest? I assume her.
That's what I'm thinking. Is they're like high level spells that wouldn't be worth doing tomorrow, but would be worth doing now.
Fair enough. I'm willing to take you over there if you want to do that.
Maggie very much does not want to do that, but she thinks it's a good idea, and so she closes her eyes tight, wraps her arms around your waist, and says, "Tell me when we're there."
Is there any
Alrighty then.
particular soundtrack to this flight, or no?
It's probably just like Maggie trying to stop from barfing. Little.
There's no like
you know
soft,
what, you know
like
what the music
violins
is?
in the
No.
background. Not
The
no.
music is totally A Spoonful of Sugar from Mary Poppins. It's just playing as you're flying. Maggie's like choking down puke.
Baroness is yelling, "You better not puke on me!"
So as you guys are on your flight, Tohan and Venedia, you guys are gonna take about an hour or two and go scout around the area. I take it in the lower ward.
For sure.
Yeah, I
Okay.
want to
Come on,
go
Red.
clothes shopping.
All right.
Let's go close shopping and fuck shit up.
Oh, I guess Maggie will give Tohan the abacus in case that helps. And also, I don't know if there's like magical items that prevent banishment, but I feel like if there are, that would be helpful for us to have.
Okay.
I don't need your abacus. I'm good at this.
Maggie gives it to Venedia.
Let's see. So from Black Sail, you are surrounded immediately on the street where you exit the Black Sail. You see a sign that says Sod Dirk's Forge, just on the same side of the street as you. Across the street, you see the lower ward garrison and several Harmonium soldiers walking in and out, some of them taking their helmets off as they're going into the building, clearly off their shift for the night. Looking farther down, you see some of these men taking their turn going into the Dirk and Firkin greenhouse / alehouse, which is a cross between a tavern and a greenhouse. It seems to be populated mostly by upper planar types like Celestials and SMRs, and those who want to get away from the lower ward's smoggy, polluted air. They have a menu outside, and it has simple, wholesome food and strong drink on their menu. A little farther up, you see the Mermaid's Cup Fest Hall. Let's switch back to our map here. There we go. So the dot is where you are at the Black Sail. The forge is just over here. And then it's like one.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably
three.
just pay for instructions from like the barkeep or whatever. It's like, where can I find some functional clothes around here?
Okay.
You know?
And let's see.
Just need some basic threads, dog.
He says that.
I mean, I'm also keeping an eye out, like if I see any other kind of like curio shops or bookshops or anything like that, I guess. But
Or just like
Yeah.
beer.
Aranith would actually like to, when she's done helping Maggie out, try to see if she could find a shop that sells perhaps an amulet or a ring that'll help raise her AC.
Okay.
well, don't you have those tattoos that you never used?
Yeah, but they're only one use. I want something to permanently.
Oh, I thought there was like one use, like, and then but it's on you permanently.
No, not so the way Zach explained it, these are just these are not the actual tattoos that as you would get them. These are just like one offs that he added as a bonus for what we were doing.
Yeah, they're
The
like
actual
the
tattoos,
temporary
you
tattoo version of them.
Yeah, the actual ones, yes, I was looking at it. You can indeed like use them, take them off, and then reuse them again. But these are just one-offs.
I'm kind of looking for an amulet of health if we find one, but we'll just kind of see what happens.
The bartender probably would direct you predominantly back to the Great Bazaar for this, but knowing that it's such a long walk, he does tell you there's a few local places. One of them is the Golden Bell Pawn Shop. He says you quite often can find damn near everything in there if you're willing to pay a little more than you would at the bazaar for it.
Sounds perfect.
He says it's run by an Alufiend Fence and her human husband. An Alufiend is a creature similar to a tiefling, but has more of the demonic nature showing through in its physical traits than a tiefling does. So instead of just like horns, it might have, it might look more like a devil with some human features to it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Let's
Yeah.
check it out.
Yeah,
All right.
Erin will definitely want to check that out when she's done helping Maggie.
Yep, and he would also tell you before you leave, Araneth, that there is a place called, just saw it, the Sleepy Dwarf Gem Exchange. He says he's not sure if they stay open all night, though. So you guys go to the Golden Bell, and this place is packed full of things. Not since this little shop in Waterdeep have you seen a place that has such an odd collection of things. Most of them seem to be kind of useless sort of trinkets. But they do have a rather large clothing section in the back that seems to be both some secondhand stuff, some newer stuff, just whatever got sold to them on any given day. So what sort of outfits are you guys looking for?
Probably something that's kind of like piratey, I guess. I don't know. I want to kind of like fit in with what I saw there.
Okay, yeah, and there's actually among these things is also you notice a separate kind of clothing section that seems to be reserved for a sort of uniforms. And you notice that there is approximately 15 different styles of uniforms. Probably, you'd have to guess, representing the factions that you've heard a bit about. Each of them contains a different like crest, but they all generally meet the same sort of uniform requirements. Like all of them would be one same color, same insignias on them, same sort of styling. So as far as piratey stuff, you find an outfit that, consists of essentially what is a long trench coat. Although this trench coat is very thick and heavy and could be considered like a type of leather armor. So that would come into account with your barbarian rage stuff, I think, if you're right. If you're wearing armor, I don't know if you have that.
Yeah, I don't wear armor typically.
So this would count as armor, so it would associate with any detriments that you would get for that.
I think it sounds like you're just looking for something basic that like would enable you to blend in with folks on the street.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or maybe
that's pretty much like the style that people are wearing seems to be this. There's variants to it, but the ones that are not wearing faction-based clothing throughout the city seem to be kind of just generally dressed fairly similar to what you would see, in any Faerun city, like Waterdeep or Baldur's Gate or any of those.
okay. I'm just gonna buy a few belts, I guess.
Okay.
Different sizes, like probably like big belts, and kind of just like so I can like cinch it around to make it look different. Looking around the pawn shop, do I see anything else?
Yeah.
Or I don't know if I can talk to this person and be like, it's like, hey, you got any interesting rings, amulets, or I got a friend that's really into books. You got any cool books?
Yeah, so this Alufine that's sitting at the desk, she actually looks pretty bored. And she's just kind of twiddling her sort of dreadlocky type hair around one finger, and she looks up when you ask her this. And she says, she looking for books. There's a couple of libraries. There's the Harbinger House.
Oh, I didn't know if you had any for here for sale.
Oh, no, we haven't had any of those in a bit. People get a better price for them over there. We don't pay top dollar for books because my husband can't read and I just don't like to. She sort of like is just deadpanning you, like looking at her nails, picking at her nails.
You got anything interesting you want to show, Big Spender?
She says, well, we got this in today. And she holds up a small token that is in the shape of a feather. She's not really quite sure what it does. It came off with we detected magic on it, though. Haven't been able to quite identify it yet.
Oh, neat, neat. All right, just these belts then.
All right.
I mean, how much for the mystery feather?
There's 10 gold jinks. So that's 100 gold is what he's asking for from your what you have on your sheet. Give us 12 silver jinks for the belts. So he's asking for 120 silver and 100 gold basically for everything.
Fine.
Let me look up what this is.
just so you guys know, Tohan does not try to barter at all. So
Wait, Zach, I thought you said the conversion factor was, or the conversion ratio was in the other direction.
No, it's
like
10,
when I was
10 to
talking
1
about,
not
hey,
in
that's
your
not a
favor.
lot of money, but he was like, no, but it's 10 times that or something.
Yeah,
No,
like one of your, or 10 of your gold coins is worth one of their gold jinks, is essentially. Because like they're looking at your coins as being slices off their jinks. Let's see. Magic items A to Z. Oh, it's on the way. Q. Jesus. You are so past it. Sorry. I'm in the old school book right now. Where the hell is Q? Elemental P Q. There we go. Okay. So assuming that at some point you would have Arianth identify this, or someone would be able to identify this, I'll just go ahead and tell you, it is called the Qual's Feather Token. This tiny object looks like a feather. Different types of feather tokens exist, each with a different single-use effect. The DM chooses the kind of token or determines it randomly.
I mean, I'm fine with randomly if you just want to do it at the moment.
Yeah, we can do that. Mark the page. We'll find out what happens when you use it, if you use it. Basically,
yeah, I'm just gonna stick it in like a hat or something. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, so basically the idea behind it is that you attune to it and then you can throw it and it will do something.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like we'll say that you throw it and it sort of throws sort of like a dart. It's like it's basically like the feather quill made out of some sort of stone. But that's essentially how it functions. So let's see. Venadia, did you have anything that you were looking for?
Just that amulet of health, but
Um,
that might be in the other district or whatever.
Yeah, there's nothing in the Golden Bell pawn shop like that. She also suggests going to the Sleepy Dwarf Gem Exchange, although she tells you it is in fact closed for the night. So she says perhaps in the morning.
Yeah, we can check it out tomorrow.
So
I guess just beer then. I don't know.
Yeah, area. So you guys spend the next hour drinking, just having fun. Arianth and Maggie, you guys are going towards the Screaming Tower. So you fly over there. It takes you about an hour to get there. And when you get there, what are you looking to do, Maggie, exactly?
so she's gonna cast a clairvoyance spell, giving them sight within the tower. So it's like somewhere that they can see, basically. So, if they see that there's like a window high up with a light on, or something with bars over it, or something like that, like somewhere that looks like somebody might be imprisoned, or basically fits what that guy described, she's going to cast a clairvoyance spell inside that.
Okay. So I will read you some box text. For all its bizarre majesty, the Lady's Ward is a cold and lifeless place cluttered with dark, twisted architecture. Inside towers of perilous height lurk some of the most powerful, gluttonous, and vile beings imaginable. The maze-like streets are patrolled by stone-faced harmonium soldiers, all looking to scrag some poor sod or hang some low-life bubber from the leafless tree. Even the Tenari and Batizu give the faction a generous berth, taking their skirmishes to the rooftops to avoid confrontation. So as you are approaching, you actually see 4 armored soldiers beneath you, all of them adorned with the blue sword crest of the harmonium. The leader comes to an abrupt halt, points at you two flying, and yells out, "Ho there! Sheathe your weapons, come down and state your business."
Maggie's like, just get higher. I mean,
Hey, fuck, it's the fuzz, run.
I guess like they're so these guys can see through the fog.
Yeah, I mean, assuming that you guys were flying, 30, 40, 50 feet up, well, you guys actually probably would have come down to that height once you started approaching this tower. I'm assuming to see, like, the tops of it.
Oh,
Although,
gotcha. So the top of the tower is like within view of the street.
yeah, ish. Um, it's also possible that this guy has some sort of a way to see through the fog more clearly.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely yells to you. We'll say that maybe you had dipped down a bit and he noticed you in a little clear patch of the smog or something. But yeah, you guys could probably attempt to go up higher and just evade his sight entirely.
Yeah. Once she's seen the tower, like once she's seen the tower, she doesn't even need to like stay in view of the tower. She just needs to like see it in order to cast a spell. So yeah, Maggie's just like, let's get up and away from here.
Right. Sorry, I'm scanning. So as you approach the tower, you see that its scale is actually quite irregular and rather monstrous looking. It's shaped much like a stalagmite, and it does soar above the cityscape uh, with a unchiseled surface that is riddled with holes. The entire structure resembles some sort of twisted stone flute. As you perform your clairvoyance, you hear beneath you some mournful sorrows of what can only be a prisoner as a wagon begins to roll through, a caged wagon pulled by what appears to be a gorgon. Um, at this very moment, you're quite sure that you hear, "Help me! I know you've come for the child of the prophecy. I can help you. Please don't let them take me."
Like that's like somebody in the wagon is yelling that out.
Mhm. Yeah, it seems like someone knows that you're there.
Sounds like
It is unreasonably, or it is much quieter, we'll say, in this district than it was in any of the previous ones. Like, it seems like mostly the streets are clear except for the harmonium patrols. And yeah, this wagon rattling through, being driven by 2 rather large creatures in harmonium gear, seems to be some sort of a prison wagon, and it does seem to be heading for the Screaming Tower. The wind kicks up, and as the wind kicks up, you start hearing this whistling noise, this uncanny, like 1,000 flutes all being played dissonantly coming from the tower. Your clairvoyance spell, you you see all on the tower and inside of several windows at the top, a multitude of gargoyles of all shapes and sizes. and it seems like a large portion of the tower is in fact just essentially a large belfry in which that they all sort of congregate. But about halfway up, you do see a large full floor room that seems to contain some sort of a lab or a study. And there is, in fact, something that appears to be an old woman in this lab.
So that's like the only room that I. So it's basically like a big empty tower except this one room in the middle.
There's a few other like side rooms that could be like water closets or like kitchens or something like that. But overall, yeah, it predominantly appears like the top several what appear to be like floors are actually just like an empty space where you see hundreds of these gargoyles.
I say to Maggie, we're in no position to save this man, whether he could help us or not, if those gargoyles come to life and attack us.
Yeah. You don't have any spell that would like help you figure out what his deal is, do you?
The best I can do is ask Reggie what he thinks of the situation, as far as that's concerned. Or do like a perception or arcana check.
Reggie tells you that he believes that you may, in fact, be the victim of an ESP attack. That someone is essentially gleaning information from you, and that it sounds like this prisoner is probably a likely candidate for that. That they seem to have gleaned that you are looking for some child, and perhaps it is just a distraction to get you to go down and help free them.
I say to Maggie that we need to get out of here.
Yeah, agreed.
We get seen.
Cool.
And I turn around and very
It's a trap.
Do my best. I do my best to conceal us as we're heading back.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the clairvoyance is just like once she has seen the location, you know, like I mean she could cast it from anywhere now, so she's just got a 10-minute concentration spell that allows her to see the inside of the tower.
Excellent.
Cool.
Okay, so you guys head back to the Black Sail then for the night? I'm assuming all four of you do? So
Yeah,
you guys...
in the morning I definitely want to go to that gem shop though.
Yep, you guys can all get a long rest. Let's see what we've got for amulets of healing here. What amulet were you looking for, or what gem were you looking for, Ariane? Something with armor class, you said, right?
Yeah, I want to raise my armor class if possible.
Gems.
Hey Maggie, can I assume you give us those 10 points back again?
Yeah, if they've like gone to sleep and woken up, she'll give them her 10-minute spiel over breakfast.
Ew.
Or it's 15. Is that what you said?
No, I was about to ask how many it was, though, so thank you.
Yep.
So the only two magical gems that the gem shop has at this moment is a gem of brightness that allows you to speak separate command words for different effects. One to shed a bright light in a 30-foot radius, and dim light for an additional 30 feet. Another one to cause the gem to fire a brilliant beam of light at one creature. And a third that allows you to flare the gem with blinding light in a 30-foot cone originating from it.
The other thing I have kind of does all that already. The ring.
The other gem that they have that they tell you about is a gem of seeing. It says that as an action you can speak the gem's command word and expend a charge. It has 3 charges. And then for the next 10 minutes you have true sight out to 120 feet when you peer through the gem. And it regains 23 charges at dawn. So that would be something to be like that would be an item that could pierce the veil of this smog quite easily. Like you would get be able to see everything that's going on out to 120 feet.
Sounds pretty useful.
Yeah, other than that, they do not have any particularly magical gems. They do have a bunch of gems.
If we happen to find ourselves back in the bazaar at some point, I definitely want to check on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's like, according to the barkeep, that's the next closest like magical item place. Would be the bazaar.
Yeah, I mean, he tells you that there's a few other places that sell things around the area, but they're generally speaking not going to be as cheap as going to the bazaar.
How much is that gem that gives the true sight?
Gem. We do. Let's see. They would like 1,000 gold jinx for it. That is 10,000 regular gold coins.
Waka waka.
I don't know. We got the Eye of Argos and
Yeah.
spells and stuff.
I can see pretty good 120 feet anyway.
Yeah, no, that's about 100 times what I was hoping. So
Where's our halfling to steal it when we need him?
So yeah, I would say that's probably a good spot for us to stop. It's already 9:15, and I have to be up at 3.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, but so that leaves you guys in a pretty good position to start next week. Assuming that you are going to attempt to go talk to Zaraga and bring her this disc, do all the nifty stuff. So I will make a mark on our PDF.
That's gonna be the day after Christmas, which is fine with
Yeah.
me. But I'm just giving.
I actually will be out of town still, so yeah, you'll be the
Okay.
week after that, I guess.
All right, well, yeah, we can.
Well,
we
wait,
can either
what's
skip a
so?
week.
And when's New Year's? It's on.
Well, it would be
New Year's.
New Year's Day would be the following Sunday, probably, right?
Right.
No,
think
New Year's
New
Day is
Year's
a
Day
Saturday.
is
That'd be the
Saturday.
second.
Well, yeah, it would be the day after New Year's. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that one's
That's
that one's
fine with
probably
me.
good. So.
Okay. Yeah. So we can plan for that. So yeah, if I don't talk to you guys before then, everybody have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Merry
Yeah, you
Christmas.
too.
Yeah, I'm down
And a
if
Happy
we want
New
to
Year.
get together and do like Heroes Quest or something next
Yeah,
Sunday.
absolutely. The only thing with Heroes Quest is because I don't know how to set up the camera to effectively capture it and be able to do the stuff, but I could probably find it on Tabletop Simulator pretty quickly, if I had to guess. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'll be around, but I would also be open to something like that if I am, and
Okay.
I'll know by then.
Yeah, so what I'll do then is I will probably throw up a link. I do have Lily that day, but only until like 5, for the day after Christmas. So yeah, it'd probably be our regular 6 o'clock or so if we do anything.
All right, well, I'll play it by
Probably be
ear.
around.
I mean, we'll see
Yeah,
what
I'm not
happens. But
100% sure.
I don't know
Yeah.
what time I'm getting back. But yeah, I'll play it by ear.
Awesome. All right. Well, happy holidays, guys.
You too.
Yeah, you
I will
too.
see everybody on the other side of the year.
Yeah. Good night, guys.
Have a
Good
great
night, guys.